The following is rated F for fairness. Viewers' discretion is advised.
Welcome to the audio show.
So someone has come out and they've said, you know what? They believe that there is a level of chauvinism present within the skits, right? And I've been called before while being on the channel, a male chauvinist. So I think I want to deep dive this with the audience for us to really think about it. Is Wayne chauvinistic with the writing? Is the writing chauvinistic? So what's a chauvinist or a male chauvinist? A male chauvinist is a man who believes that men are inherently superior to women. This belief manifests in condescending attitudes, sexism, and a refusal to treat men and women as equals in professional, personal, or societal settings. Then it says the key characteristics are patronizing behavior often speaks to or treat women in condescending manner, assuming they need more guidance or they lack competence in certain areas. Traditional gender roles, enforce strict, outdated views on women's roles. And they're saying, hey, assuming women are solely responsible for domestic duties. Then there's entitlement, believes his point, needs, and career aspirations naturally take precedence over the woman. Okay, I may have to ask this to the audience. I think that skits have proved to us that this may not be so. For example, what about the Domini storyline? In the Domini storyline with Mike says that she is the brains of the operation and she somehow gets Mike into these great spaces. But she's crazy about Mike, right? But Mike doesn't really love her. Mike wants to keep it all business, while at the same time trying to see exactly if he can have sex with her, but he wants to keep it business. He doesn't want to have a whole relationship. Now, I feel that's a perfect example. Does that mean that Mike is thinking he's more superior than her? That's a question that I would have to ask. This particular question, does that mean that Mike think that? Because I don't think that. When I look at Domini, you could see that Domini is actually knows what she's actually doing. She's good at business. Some of it can be said as well too with J Diva and Rafi. You can see that J Diva has her hands on a pulse with certain piece of the puzzle, like she's great at some pieces there. In fact, I would move to say that you can see some pieces with the Amber character before the Amber character actually got so lost in the sauce. Because if you remember the Amber character from before, when the vending machine, you could have tell that she was the brains behind the operation that was enabling Mike to actually win a lot of times. It was just a space that she understood more than anything else. What I think with the restaurant that happened is that Amber she may not quite have fully understood the restaurant portion of things, right? And so she might have needed more guidance with it. But as you can see, now it's clearly working itself out. So I'm trying to view where the chauvinist piece comes in. But the person that mentioned what about Candice? Look at how Wayne hires Candice, but he's not thinking Candice can do the job. Well, the backstory of Candice is that Candice has been hired before to do other events and she didn't do them properly. So in other words, I see Candice as the girl who got employed. Hear me out and don't get weird. She got employed because, of course, Chase knows people. And so Chase has put her on. And that can happen to the other way around in a male space. They're just showing you, in other words, that's when like your spouse is good at something. And so they have basically put you onto a particular space. And they're good in that space. And so, they're able to get you in front of the right people. I've had women gotten me in front of the right people. So that does make sense if you can get yourself in the right space. So I'm not seeing I'm not seeing fully the chauvinist because it make it seem as though how it's coming across is as though the women don't shine at different times. Now, do the women have sexual pieces that are in there? Yes, they do, just like the men do. Just like we talk on Mike and we said that Mike is basically out here telling women that him love them when him don't really love them, right? Or when Rafi was playing like a bit of games, but then eventually now him get caught in the same trap now with J Diva where now it's flipping. So it's like a seesaw, and I think that the writers try to seesaw between the characters if you look at them. 1 minute Mike is up, the next minute him down. 1 minute, well, Dominic kind of stays steady on the evil part, but nonetheless, she has her moments when she crashes out, right? And then you have so many of the other characters that's basically what they're doing, and they do this to try and basically keep the tandem of the story keep going, because if we just have the males winning, then that's something different, right? What I think is happening is, I think that people, and yes, these are just skits. They are skits, and as I've tried to mention to people, it's community drama. You're watching community drama, and community drama replicates life. So, do you have males who are in a, what you call now, a superior position than, for example, then a female? Yes, you do. In fact, if you look at Mike and Wayne's what you call it relationship, a lot of times Wayne behaves very superior to Mike because him have more money than Mike. That's a natural behavior from a lot of men when them tend to have money. They do it as well with women. So in other words, the equality of it doesn't really go there. It's either she know what she's doing or she don't know what she's actually doing. That's what I would say with that. So I feel like it's I feel like we're because we don't want to see a character lose, we're starting now to go outside of the skits, and we're starting to look at it from a different space, and then we start thinking that there is something that's up, and I don't believe anything at all is up. I think we're just watching some skits, and they're just presenting some topics in front of you, and it's up to you now to decipher which topic you want. For example, I never like when Mike Malachi getting beaten with a belt buckle from, from Rolanda and damn thing there. But we laughed at it and we looked at it and I said, boy, them doing bad, and that's about it. I feel like you're just watching a bunch of skits, and it's the way how you want to place it. It's kind of just up to you. I'll go even as far to say that somebody actually put this up, and them say you're right. The best analogy that I've heard about these skits, and not to be rude, but O'Neill TV reviews is totally opposite. He's a closet chauvinist. That's the word they're using, right? Behavior, right? He's a closet chauvinist pretending to be a professor in human behavior. Anyways, I like your reviews better. You see what I mean? So what I see is happening is, we're looking at these skits, and what we start to do is to form an impression. O'Neill tries to form an impression based on his own experience or based on theater, because I really do try and look at the theatrical aspect of the skit a lot. Now, let me say this because people probably don't know. O'Neill is not a doctor, and I'm not a professor. I haven't been in this in a long time. This is O'Neill Masters. I don't know if you can see it. Masters of Social Work. It says O'Neill period Masters of Social Work. There it is. Right? That's it. That's all that O'Neill have. I'm not a professor and I'm not a doctorate student. I'm not going to pose as a doctor when I'm not a doctor. Right? I will speak on social services, and like you say, I try to be as balanced and as fair. It's like right now, when I speak on the mic skits, I speak on the mic skits because yes, I see semblances of myself in the Mike character. I see semblances of myself inside of the Amber character, semblances inside the Anthony character, and you possibly can see yourself in all the different characters if you look deep enough. I think that's all the skits are about. And they're not really trying to see exactly if they can pressure women or they can get women down to whatever it is. They're just giving you a take on life. Now, either you like that take, or is it that the take may just be too ugly to actually look at? It may just be too ugly to look at. Like, for example, me seeing, Anthony and Amber argue in front of Kai, it was kind of ugly to look at for me as well. Trust me. Some things is kind of tough to look at. Now I can laugh at the mic thing because I think that I probably processed that now, where I'm like, boy, that's exactly how you were. Or you were close to what Mike is doing right now, telling a bunch of women you love them when you don't really love them. You were actually lying. This was how much of a liar you actually were. But hey, hopefully that does anything. So you give me a take. I want to know what y'all think. Are the skits chauvinistic? Are the skits saying that women are the way below the bellows of society and they're not able to do anything, but males are able to do everything? Give me a take. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and talk to you all soon.